Let me start recording. Okay, right. So it is in continuation to the last session what we had on Friday. So I think we have spoken about the requirement. So typically, end of the day, what I am trying to say and what I'm trying to show you today is how to copy a seeded role, the Oracle given role, copy the seeded role, customize that, and assign to the user. That's what we are trying to do. That's the ultimate goal. So to show that, to get that done, I took a business case. Typically, little typical business case what really happens in any project, and I was trying to show you today. Okay, that's the goal. And the business case what I took is I have taken a standard the seeded custom, so the custom financial analyst Australia primary ledger job role, and this job role is inheriting the custom financial analyst job role. When anything is green is called custom, anything in red is called the seeded one. We know that. So we are taking the custom financial Australia primary ledger role, which is inheriting the custom financial analyst job role. Okay, and this custom financial analyst job role is inheriting some custom roles and some seeded roles. Out of this financial analyst is seeded role. Okay, that's how it is, a hierarchy. And the use case what I have given is there is a screen called manage period close activities. So what the business case I told is I wanted to create a new financial junior analyst Australia role. Okay, I want to create another job role. Basically, why do I want to create another job role? Because I don't want this remove period close activities. What our screen is there, this period close activities screen should not be available to the newly created role. The reason is if I assign this role to any user, that user can access this screen. Where is this screen coming from? This screen is coming from this financial analyst seeded role. This is the role. From this role, this screen access is coming, right? So what our requirement is, we wanted a role in such a way that this access to the screen should be restricted. That's our requirement. I want to remove the access to the screen. Okay, how can I do that? To remove access to the screen, I need to remove it from this role. Okay, so rule number one, we cannot customize this, or we cannot modify the seeded role. We cannot do that. We cannot take this role and take out this aggregate privilege. We cannot do that. Okay, because it is seeded role. So rule number one, it is seeded role. So we cannot modify the seeded role. So what we need to do, we need to copy this role and create a custom role. Okay, create a custom role. In that custom role, remove this manage period close activity aggregate privilege. Then you will get a custom role like this. Create a RB financial analyst, some custom role which will take the aggregate privileges. Okay. Once we have this, once we have the custom role, can I assign the custom role in this hierarchy? It is a hierarchy. In this hierarchy, can I assign the custom role? Yes, you can assign. But what happens if you assign that custom role is not having this manage period close activities? It means if you assign the custom role to this hierarchy, this job role won't have access to manage period close activities. If that access is lost, then whoever is having this job role will be losing the access to the screen. Sorry, will be losing access to the screen. Okay, we don't want like that. We want a brand new one, a different job role, which will take out access to that, and we want this existing hierarchy is still available. That's our requirement. Okay, for that, what I was proposing is I wanted to create a new hierarchy. Okay, I want to create a new hierarchy like this. So I want to customize the seeded role, which will take out this manage period close activities. And I want to create another custom role, which will inherit all these things along with this custom customized role. And I want to create another job role, which will inherit this custom job role. So that's my proposal. And that's what we are going to see today. Okay, so I'm going to the application.
So Lakshmi, here I have one small concern.
Sure.
See, here let us say in this diagram of financial junior analyst Australia, right? The top one. So it is the base class, and the financial custom junior analyst is going to is inheriting the properties from the financial junior analyst Australia. Is my understanding correct?
Financial junior analyst is inheriting the.
No. That is the base class. I think. It means if you see the arrow.
Right.
That is the base class, and this financial custom junior analyst is inheriting the properties from financial junior Australia. Is my understanding correct?
No, the arrow is like that, but this is the one having all these properties. So this role is the one having all these properties. So if I assign this role to a user, it means that user is having access to all these things. So it is the bottom level actually. So I mean, if you talk about assigning, if you talk about inheritance, so it is the one you are assigning to the user. If it is assigned to the user, it should have access to all these privileges, all these duty roles and everything.
Because the arrow is like a bit confusing, because arrow is
yes, right. It should be, yeah,
in other direction, right? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, just understand like that. So it's actually, if this role is having inheriting all these roles, and this role is inheriting this role. Okay, let's try doing this. Okay, so first thing what we need to do, let's go and see the role again. We have already seen it as last session. Let's go and quickly see that. I will go a little bit faster today. Financial analyst. I'm going to, let's say, Australia primary ledger. So this Australia primary ledger, let's see the hierarchy. So it is a hierarchy, and financial analyst Australia primary ledger is inheriting financial analyst custom role. And this financial analyst custom, if I double click it, this financial analyst custom role is inheriting the seeded financial analyst role along with others. So my requirement is, in this financial analyst role, I need to take out the manage. This is the one I want to take out actually. I want to delete this one. Okay, as I cannot modify the seeded role, what I am going to do, I am going to take a copy of this. Okay, so I am going to right click it, and I am going to say copy role. Okay, so copy role. Copy role is nothing but copying the role. Okay, let's go to the fundamentals of the copy role, how the copy role fundamentals do work. Okay, so there are a few things we have to follow when we copy the role. Okay, so in the security console, we can search for the source role and we can copy it. And while copying, we have to provide a new role name, code, and description. And do not edit the copy role at this point of time. When you take a copy of it, don't edit that. When you have to edit that, once you copy the role, and once the role got copied, then typically we have to run one process, one ESS, enterprise scheduler process. And once you run this process, then again get back that role and modify that. Okay, why do we need to run this process? I want to talk about that in a while. Okay, next, while copying the role, there are two types of copying. We have a shallow copy and deep copy. What is shallow copy and what is deep copy? So example, this is the role hierarchy. Okay. R1 is inheriting R2, 3, 4, R2 is inheriting 5 and 6. Okay, 5 and 6. So if I copy this role into a different role, I'm copying R1 to CR1. So now, do you want to copy the top role and bring the existing relationship, or do you want to copy the top role and also take the copy of individual things like this? CR2, CR3, CR4, CR5, CR6. Do you want, this is called deep copy, and you are just taking the copy of the top role and you still wanted to have whatever you have at the bottom. Okay, so if that is a record, that's what you want it to do. Okay, so it's like it's copying on the top role, and still it is inheriting the existing roles. So what is the use of that is, if any seeded role is modified, those changes will get impacted in this copied role as well. Whereas in this case, as we are taking copy of the individual childs in the hierarchy, then any modifications in this role will not show up in this copied roles. That's the difference. Okay, so in our requirement, as we wanted to take one aggregate privilege out of our financial job role, I am just going to copy the top role with the existing hierarchies, and with the existing hierarchies, I will take out the R4. Okay, so that's the difference between the copying the
Lakshmi, when we go for a shallow and when we go for a deep copy.
So we need to go for a deep copy. Shallow copy, basically, if you are modifying only the top level hierarchy. Example, if you are modifying only the top level hierarchy, then you can go to the shallow copy. If you wanted to go into the deeper of the hierarchies, or if you wanted to, basically if you want to go deeper into the hierarchies to do the modifications, typically you have to go to the deep copy. In our requirement, you just need to modify in the top row, we have to take out one privilege out of it. So that's why I'm going to take the top row.
As both are custom, you should not modify anything when we, when Oracle give any patch, right? Because, but you're saying that in the shallow copy, whenever Oracle gives any patch or something upgradation, it will affect the down, next level, apart from the first level.
Correct.
It should not happen. Is it expected functionality or intended functionality or what? Can I repeat?
When you see R2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are the seeded roles.
Exactly. Yeah.
When we going the shallow copy, we are still inheriting the seeded roles to the customized role. So if any upgradations happens, if any changes to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 will still be applied in this case. In case of R1, it won't apply to CR1. That is the intended functionality.
Okay.
Okay.
So as we removed already R4, so nothing will happen. That's what you're saying.
Yes, if you remove R4, we are removing R4 of the customer.
Yeah, though R4 was means any patch applies, any change happened to R4, as it is already detached from that custom role, custom role, and nothing will happen, right?
That's right. Yes.
So if you think Oracle upgradation should not touch our customization, then we need to modify each and every level.
Yes, that's right. Exactly. If our upgradation doesn't need to, so when do we need to make sure that upgradation does not impact any of these? Whenever you think you are going to modify the individual hierarchies or individual roles, then only you think that upgradation should not impact. In that case, yes, we should go with a deep copy. Okay. Right. So I'm going back into this copy role. Now I'm not going to copy that. I'm just going to say these are the two options we have. Okay. Before copying it, I just wanted to introduce two small other functionality, which I'm going to talk more detail. So in this security console, we have something called administration. Okay. In this administration, we have some administration activities that a user can do, like how you wanted to create a username, how you wanted to have it first name dot last name, or an email, or first letter of the first name and last name, or person number or party number. How does user wanted to create? So I want to talk about this user preferences, password policies in a while. I just wanted to show, I'm going to the roles. In this roles tab, what happens is when you copy a role, copy a seeded role, what should be the prefix of that? Okay, example, I'm copying a financial analyst seeded role. When we copy the financial analyst seeded role, what should be the prefix for that? If it is custom, then it means custom underscore financial underscore analyst will be the name. And also, what is the prefix? Prefix is underscore GSC. It means if it is custom, then what is going to happen? A financial analyst ORA underscore financial analyst is the seeded role. Then if we copy that with the custom, then with the prefix as custom, then it's going to have custom underscore and prefix is GSC. It is going to do like that. Okay, that's the meaning of copying. So copying role preferences. Okay, while copying, make sure up to what limit you want to copy. Up to 300 node limit, means 300 hierarchies. Okay, and while copying, enable edit or edit of data security policies, enable edit of user role membership, enable default table view. While copying it, make sure these things are available. If you think that no, while copying we should not enable the data security policy editing, just take it off as an administrator. So whoever has access to copy the role, then they cannot edit the data security policies. Okay, so it is that. So why I'm showing is when I'm copying it, this prefix and suffix is going to come. Okay, that's why I'm going to show the screen. And once I copy it, I need to come here and check the status of it. Is the copy status is complete or not? Okay, I need to check here. I am going to do that. Okay, so I'm going back and I'm going to financial analyst, primary ledger, and I'm going here. If I know the name of it, ORA underscore GL underscore financial analyst job, I can directly go and search it and modify it. Okay, as I don't know the name, I am coming here and now I am setting it as a focus. It means I am going to show it. I am going to see only this seeded role now, and with that I am taking it and I am going to copy role. Now I am going to copy the top role because that is good enough for me. Okay, so yeah, see that? So copy is the prefix and GS is suffix. So ORA is gone now. So it came as copy like this. So I'm going to modify it as RB underscore GL. You can modify the suffix if you want. GS is nothing but it is demo instance. Demo instance will have Global Systems Engineering as a company name for the demo instance. That is why they are keeping GSC basically. So in reality, basically what we need to do, typically we need to keep like this copy, and then here we need to keep the RB.
In our current scenario, will it copy all the levels or it will be applicable for only first level?
It will copy all the levels, but it will retain the hierarchy.
Okay.
The hierarchy. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So its role category is financial job roles, and yep, analyst the financial. So it is analyze the financial, whatever the description of the financial job role or the seeded role is coming that. Okay. Now we should not modify any of it for now. Okay, we should not do that. It's not advisable to modify any of these. We are going to modify it once copy is complete. Okay, so I am not modifying anything. I am just going next up to summary and report, and I am going to so we have everything is copied. Just submit and close. Once it is submitted and closed, then the process is submitted. The process nothing but copying the roles, basically copying the roles from the seeded role to our custom role, so that once the copy is complete, then this process will end. So how to monitor the status of that? Go to administration and go to the role status. Yeah, role copy status, it is still processing. So we keep refreshing it. It is complete. So now it is complete. Typically now you have to change this basically. So how to go and change this? Just go here. Copy GL financial analyst job role RB. Okay. I'm taking it. So typically that there is a process, retrieve LDAP changes. There's a process actually, background process, which typically we need to run. So as I'm creating it for first time, I no need to run that, but I'm going to talk about that uh, uh, those processes in detail uh, in a minute. Basically, when I talk about the data stores, I'm going to talk about that what processes we need to run and what is the importance of those things. Okay, so bear for a while. I copied it. So what I need to do? So I will get in hierarchy mode. So it is getting everything. See that? So it is inheriting everything, but everything is seeded role. We are not modified anything of that. Okay. Now I'm going to edit it. Edit role. So in edit it, what our requirement is to take out that functional privilege. Okay. So go next. Okay. So basically that's an aggregate privilege, right? Aggregate privilege means it's a role, basically aggregate role. So I need to go to a role hierarchy. In the role hierarchy, I need to look for what's the name of it? Say manage periodic close activities. So let's so let's see that.
I think it is searching with code.
Or searching with code.
Here you can write name. Yeah.
Nope. So it is completed.
It's there in function security policies, I think.
It's an aggregate privilege, right? Let me see. Let me open the security reference. Okay, so we have the financial analyst. In the financial analyst, we have the aggregate privilege. Let's do one thing. I have another shorter route for that. So what I will do, I will go here. I will go here, edit role, and I will go to role hierarchy. In the role hierarchy, I will open it in the hierarchy mode. So here, yeah. Okay, it looks like it's not here, so it should be the functional privacy, functional security policies then. So here, manage periodic close activities. Yeah, it is here. So manage periodic close activities, and just highlight this one, and then just delete it. So basically, sometimes it will show up. Okay, so it is deleted. So next I'm going next, and I'm going to summary impact and report. So one function security policy is removed. So yeah, manage. Yeah, so going close. The roles are changed. So let me search again.
Lakshmi, if you want, we can retrieve once again.
Lakshmi?
Yeah.
One doubt here. For example, let's say if unexpectedly I have removed that one, okay?
Yeah.
that we need to want again. So can we add again? Right?
Yeah, you can add it.
Okay.
So just go there. And then let's see first whether it is gone. So it is gone now. If you want to add it, just go there and then just go to that function security policies and just click on the plus icon and add it.
Ravi, instead of deleting the security policy, can we make it as a non-readable page, something like that?
Yeah, non-readable page. We can make it. We can hide it. Actually, we can do that using the page customization. We can do that. That's possible.
Okay.
We're gonna see that when we talk about page specialization customization. We're gonna see that. Okay.
But okay, so using the data role, normally we have the policy like viewing the page and then updating the page. But if you apply that one, it will be applicable to entire the job role. So instead of that, I need to be I need to be provide the security policy.
Correct.
But I don't want to be access to the page access to the people.
Correct. So yeah, exactly as you said, right? So if I modify the role, it's going to impact existing roles. That's what you said, right? That is the reason I wanted to create a brand new hierarchy. Exactly whatever you said, it's right. If I go ahead and take out this role and attach my custom role to this role, it is going to impact the main one. That is the reason I'm going to create the custom one, and I'm going to create the custom one here as well. That's what I'm going to do. And second thing, as you said, yes, we can definitely at page level, we can hide out that page if they have any conditions, like if user is like that, or if user having this job role, or user having some other criteria, just hide out this role. And if the remaining users show this page, we can do that at the page level customization. That's also possible. And if you want to do it at the main security role itself, we have to follow this way. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate that one as well, whatever page level customization, when I talk about personalization customization. But think of the case like this financial junior analyst roles who should not have access to periodic close activities. This is ongoing job. We have a job actually, which is ongoing job. Anyone in that job should not do the periodic close activities. That's the company level requirement. At the whole, if you have your company is there in 35 countries, all the 35 countries, whoever having this financial junior, whatever analyst role, they should not do the month and close activities. So that requirement, is it good to achieve through the page customization, or it good to achieve through a company level job role, which will do that, which will be aligning to the company policies and company requirements. So if it is a company level thing, which is affecting the more number of population, then the best recommended way is to go through a role customization. Okay, if it is lesser number of thing and it is a very it's not like very stressing requirement, or it's not like something is going to impact everyone, we should go for the page customization. The reason that page customizations will be impacted whenever there's an upgrade happens. Any upgrade happens, we have to test the customizations, and we have to, if the customizations are lost, we have to apply them again manually. In case of job role, as it is a custom role won't get impacted 95%. Remaining 5% chances are there because of the underlying serial roles might be changed, and that might get impacted to that. But 95% it won't happen. Even if it happens, Oracle informs well ahead of time, hey, with this release, this serial role is going to be impacted, and that one is going to be impacted. So it will say that. Okay. So I'm going back. Yeah, for someone asking the question, can we add it? Yes, we can add it like this. Okay. Now we can confirm that role is got created. So now what I need to do, I need to create this role actually, whatever finance customer junior analyst role, a serial role. Okay. For that, what I need to do again, let me search for the financial analyst, Australia primary ledger, and then go to the hierarchy, and then I want to modify this role. Actually, I want to take copy of this one, and to that copy I'm going to attach the newly seeded role. Okay, I'm going to take copy of it, copy this role, copy the top role. Here also we are just taking out this one, so just copy the top role, and yeah, so role name is copy financial custom, and I want to say copy GL financial custom RB, like that. So here again, don't do any changes for now. You have to do the changes once copy is complete. I'm going to summary and impact report. Okay, and I'm going to submit and close. Once copy is complete, then I will modify that. So all copy status, it is still processing. It's complete. So copy GL financial analyst job custom is complete. So I am going back to that. What I need to do for that? That role is currently, this financial custom junior analyst role is currently inheriting this role. So I want to take it off. In place of that, I want to add this one. Okay, so let's go. So we have the copy financial analyst custom role. Let's take it. Okay, so we have this one now. Okay, and this one has to be deleted, right? So just take it, go to edit role, and it's a duty role, so it won't be in the function security policies, it will be in the role hierarchy. Go to role hierarchy and do this. So this one has to be deleted. So I'm just right clicking it and deleting it. Just delete it. Okay, the role is deleted. So what next? So I wanted to, in place of that, I want to add my new role. So add role and take copy. You have to take the copy financial analyst custom role, the one we created. Let's take it, add role membership. Okay, so it got added here. So in place of that one, I will add that one. Okay, so go next. Go next. So we added one and removed one. So we added the copy financial analyst role and removed the financial analyst role. Okay, save and close. Okay, so okay, now it is done. So we created the, see now, so it's going to have the copy financial analyst custom role. If this one is actually, if you set the properties of it, so this one is actually taken out this manage periodic close activities, right? So this is done. So now what we did, we have created this one. So these two hierarchies are done. So what we need to do, we cannot assign this one to this one. We cannot assign to this one. So that is the reason I'm going to create a new Australia analyst role. Okay, for that what we need to do, we need to get the financial analyst Australia primary ledger. So currently it is inheriting this one. So I will take copy of it, copy role, copy the top role, and I will take copy GL Financial Australia Primary Ledger. Okay. It's bigger, so a role cannot contain what's happening?
Maybe spaces.
Maybe spaces, yeah. Okay, so we don't have, it has spaces, so I remove the spaces. So now I'm not going to change anything now. I'll be going to submitting and close.
I think in roll code it automatically add the wherever space are there it will underscore, right? I think it was not happened. Okay. It's sent.
Yeah, so it is allowing underscores actually, but it's not allowing spaces. So
Now, where are the spaces there? I think it will automatically replace with underscore.
no, it just only replaces the prefix and suffix, and the suffix and the prefix also. It's based on what we define. If you see in this case, suffix we have defined underscore GSC. That's why it's and it is ending with underscore GSC, and sorry, it's prefix. That's one. And here we are just having the custom. That's why at the beginning it is just appending custom followed by the name.
One
So,
for the name, one for the code.
yeah. Okay, so let's go to copy status. Yeah, Australia is complete. So let's go back to that role again. Copy Australia role. So I'm going here. Currently it is inheriting that this one, the GL Financial Analyst job role. We wanted to replace this one with this role. Okay. So I'm going to edit the role now. I will go to role hierarchy because I know it is a role. I'll just go to the graph and I will just take it off. Yeah. And what I want to add our copied role. Yeah, so it is a custom one. We want to copy add. Okay, so add role membership. Okay, yeah. So now this role should inherit our copy financial analyst custom role, and if this one, yeah, you cannot see the aggregate privileges here. So good. Let's go to summary and report. And it removed one role and added another role. Okay, save and close. Okay, right. So we got the new role now. Copy financial analyst Australia primary ledger. Copy financial analyst custom rainbow role. And it is inheriting the copy financial analyst custom role, and it in turn is inheriting all the roles and privileges except manage period close activities. Okay, right. So now testing time. Before testing it, so what we will do, let's assign the previous role to a user. Let's try assigning this role to the user and see whether that user can see that manage periodic close activity screen, and then assign the new job role to the user and see whether that screen access is gone or not. Okay, so let's go back and we have created sure we have that. Or the student. So the student is not an employee. So let me take someone whom we created as employee. I think Accenture is the one who is an employee. Yeah, that's the number. I'm taking this person. So what we wanted to do, I'm going to take out this data role, the one we created. And I want to add a new role, the one we just, the existing one actually. So seven close. Tongue. I'm just logging out now. Password is changed. Okay, so let me reset the password.
Automatic generation, it will be sent to the email.
Yes, it will send email to that user with a passcode, and that passcode will be active for 4 hours to reset their password.
So we need to reset again then once you first log in.
Yes. So they have to use that password to reset it, and that passcode will be active for 4 hours, as I said. And that 4 hours, we can change that one as well. It's completely in our hands.
Okay.
The security console administration activities.
Time limit.
Yeah. So here we have.
What is the maximum time for that?
We can have as much as we can, I guess.
All right.
I'll show you there. So we have period close screen, which we have access today with this user. So, and this screen access should be gone when we assign the newly defined role to the user. Okay. So I'm going home and logging out. And I'm going to log in again with administrator username password. And I'm going to tools, security console, search for the user. Picked off and add our custom role. Okay, done. Save and close. Okay.
So every 90 days we have to change our password then, right? It's a password expiration date is 7/8.
Yes. So in this administration, we will set this thing actually. So in the password, as I said, user name preferences are first name, not last name, whatever. Password policy, we can set the password expiration 90 days, and how long, how long ahead we need to send the expire warning notification, and how long that password expiration token will be active, and what is the password complexity, simple or complex or very complex, don't allow lost password, administrator can manually reset the password. So these are a list of administration activities we can set at security console administration level. Okay, so that is the way it works. So when, as I said, if we automatically send the password, it will, this password token will active for 4 hours, and we can increase this one as much as we can.
There is no way to never expect kind of thing.
Okay, I will talk about that actually. That security won't work based on this. So with the reality is different.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I will talk about that. So reality companies won't just live on the Fusion actually. They will always go with a single sign-on, most of the companies. So we talk about that. So I'm going with the same user now. So the main spirit close activity screen access is gone now, because there is an aggregate privilege which is taken out from the job role and it's no more, right? So it is a testing what we have just done. Okay. So the intention behind that, what I want to show, how to customize the existing role and how to customize the hierarchies and how to copy the role. While copying the role, what actions we have to take care and how to do that. I just giving you the fundamentals. Everything will have its own depth. So if you begin with that, then obviously we can able to conquer whatever requirement we need. Okay. With that said, with that copy role is done. So I have 2 activities pending with me, basically 3 activities. One is I need to talk about administration, and I need to talk about a role provisioning actually. So role provisioning and abstract roles basically. So let me quickly try to cover those things. So in this administration screen, we have seen the roles, how to search for the roles, how to modify the roles, and here we can also compare the roles. Okay, so how to compare the roles? Example, let me take the role what I have just created. Example, copy. Let's take the financial analyst manager role, and I can search for that. So I want to compare this role with another role. How can I do? I can click on compare role. In the compare role, what I can do, I can give the first role and second role. So I'm going to give first role as my copied role. Okay, so I want to compare this role with another role. I can take any role, but I'm going to take the one we have it previously, financial analyst manager. So this is the role. Okay, click OK. So now before comparing, what is your criteria? So do you want to compare function security policies, data security policies, inherit roles, or do you want to compare all? And while comparing all, do you want to show both the changes, or you want to show only the roles available in the first one, not in the second one, or available in the second one, not in the first one, or in both the roles? How do you want to compare? Okay, if you just compare, automatically it will look for everything, whatever the criteria we have given and whatever we are trying to show. Okay, basically it's a quick way of doing that. Example, see that in this one, the function security policies, main is period close activities, it is not available in this copied role, and it is available in this functional role. So this is the comparison. It will give a quick snapshot. Okay, we can do it by data security policies level, we can do it function security policies level, we can do it inherited roles level. Okay, so that's it's a way of doing the comparison, and it's very useful whenever you have more number of customizations defined, or if you wanted to show the customer the differences between those 2 roles in the system. And yeah, as and when it's needed, it will be useful. Now, coming back to the administration screen again, here we know how to say.
This is Sandesh.
Yeah, is it a question from him?
My question is, see, we have actually customized seeded More
Correct.
the suppose
Customize.
if Oracle comes up tomorrow with the new menu or some new addition to general, so obviously that will not be there in our custom, I mean, whatever we customize, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So what's the process to get that new menu item?
Right. So when we do the customization and again, that's a way how you are customizing it. Are you customizing it by two ways of customization, right? One thing, creating a brand new role. Second thing, you are taking the existing role hierarchy and modifying that. So if you take the existing role hierarchy, again, how you are copying it? Are you doing a deep copy or shallow copy? If you do the shallow copy, most of the functionalities will retain because you are just referencing the actual roles. If you do the shallow copy, deep copy, or if you go with a brand new role by creating your brand new privileges, by attaching the privileges and duty roles, in those two cases, yes, if any changes going to happen to any seeded role, your security implementation may get impacted. That is the reason Oracle will give a clear documentation what roles, if any role is going to change. As I said, 95% it won't change. Till now, only release where there was a major change, release 10. We have release 13 still, release 13 going on now. Only release 10, we had a very major changes about the security. In remaining all releases, security changes are very minimal. Even though they give any security changes, they will give a detailed documentation about what roles are exactly changing, how they are changing, and and it is our duty to make sure those changes will be applied, and those changes, we have to make sure our custom roles are not impacted with those changes, and we have to make sure our custom roles get adjusted based on that. So yeah.
When I say adjust, that means we have to redo all we did what we have done.
Redo it based on, yeah, that's what if you go with a deep copy, or if you go with a brand new role with many, adding many roles and privileges, yes, it's like a redo the stuff. So
Okay.
yeah, whenever there are major changes, it's again, so it really won't happen most of time, but if it happens, yes, it's a re-implementation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lakshmi, one question.
Yes, Basha.
Yeah, actually, in real scenario, we'll do mostly shallow copy, right?
Yes, mostly we do shallow copy only, most of times. Now, the third thing here is the analytics. If we do the user accounts, it will actually give a quick snapshot of how many roles we have, how many duty roles we have, and how many administrators we have based on the type of roles we define. So if it is IT security manager or application implementation consultant, they will come as administrators category. And how many business intelligence duty roles and BI abstract roles. When I talk about OTBI, I will talk about these business intelligence roles. And common abstract roles, common job roles, nothing but the one we have created, one we have existing in the system. So when I say common job roles, these are all the common job roles what Oracle security reference in implementation is giving to us. It'll give a quick snapshot of everything, whatever security reference implementation document we are talking about. All those information will be available here as well as a reporting methodology. Okay, so it will give by common job roles, and give by CRM, and give by finance, and give by HCM, whatever modules we have licensed. For every module specific, they're going to give the list of all the roles what are available in the system, and we can have it as a quick snapshot for our reference. Okay, and the next one is called certificates. Basically, certificates is needed whenever we need to transfer the data from Excel. As we are in the cloud, most of times while we do the transfer of data from our system to different systems, basically we wanted to encrypt the data. If you want to encrypt the data, we have to have the encryption keys. Okay, not only encryption keys, in some companies where actually they use some security certificates. Until unless those certificates get authenticated, our data will not be accessed from the outside world. And similarly, we cannot, when we send our data, that data will have that security keys, example PGP, pretty good production key, PGP keys. So if those PGP keys are security certificates, and those things will be defined basically in this place. And we have several other places as well. We can define the certificate, we can add the certificates, we can create the certificates even in the BA server as well. Basically, those certificates are necessary, those keys are necessary to handshake the data between different systems. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate that in while we talk about inbound and outbound integrations. So how we can use the encryption keys and how we can use the certifications. I may not be able to show the certificate, demonstrate that, but PGP keys I can, I think we have a PGP key which we can demonstrate to handshake that data between different systems. Okay, and the last one is actually administration. And this administration, where I was setting user preferences, how to create the user, and is it a first name, the last name, what are preferences you wanted to choose, we can choose here. Based on that, whenever we create a username, so whenever I create a employee or when I create implementation user, the username will be created automatically. And we have seen the password policies. And again, certificate preferences. When you create a certificate, how long the certificate get validated? Is it 999 days, or what a number of days we wanted to validate, keep the certificate validity. It means if it's a 990 days, typically it will happen. Some companies will go by 365 days, because every 1 year they have to renew the certificate. Every 1 year they have to make sure the certificate has the latest security policies attached to. So basically in most of the companies, how it works is we ask network team to make sure they generate certificate and give it to us and we can upload it. Okay, so we do that. I will show you that certificate when we talk about integrations. Synchronization process preferences. Okay, so coming here, I wanted to go back to little fundamentals about the middleware concept of security data storage. Now, what happens? All our data, all our security data will be stored in 4 places actually. One is HCM user and role tables. Second thing is security console tables. Third thing is application core grant tables. All these tables won't be visible to the outside world. Everything will be maintained in the security console. Security console is the only one what we see externally, but behind that, all these things will be stored. So typically we have 3 things: identity store, policy store, and Fusion application database tables. So identity store is actually where, this is the store where actually user accounts, HCM, user accounts and roles will be existed. What roles? Job roles, data roles will be existed in this identity store. Okay, so all these stores, the job roles, data roles, and abstract roles, those are provisioned to the users, will be stored in the identity store. Okay, and remaining roles like duty roles, aggregate privileges, those things won't be available in the identity store. Whenever we create a user account, whenever we create a job role to the user, whenever we create data role to the user, whenever we create abstract role to the user. I didn't talk about abstract role, that's the next topic I'm going to talk about. And when we assign an abstract role to the user, all those roles will be stored here. Okay, and the duty roles and aggregate privileges and the role hierarchies, basically that is what typically the real core system functionality, right? The hierarchies between the different screens, duty roles, and aggregate privileges, those role hierarchies will be stored in the policy store. And whenever say aggregate privilege, that's nothing but functional privilege. That functional privilege data will be stored in this typical, when it's a task flow or a page or a view object, web center, and based on function security policies, how we can access the data, all those things will be stored in this engineering deliverables. Basically, it's nothing but grant tables. So data will be stored in this, anything assigned to user will be stored in the identity store, and the aggregate privileges, duty roles, and their hierarchy will be stored in the security console tables, and the real pages, the functional privileges and functional policies, data security policies will be stored in the engineering deliverable tables, that is what application core grant tables. So what happens as data is distributed among these three different sources, sources, to make sure all this data is in sync. Example, there is a duty role that is changed. When duty role is changed, what typically happens when a user accesses the screen, whatever change happened to the duty role screen should be impacted to the user. It means this identity store should know that some change happened here. Similarly, if some change happened in the page level, those changes should be shown up in this aggregate privilege. So three sources should be in sync, and all the sync processes will be stored in the Fusion application database tables. To sync all these tables together, we have something called import user and role application security data. That is the reason whenever you open up a security console screen, if you observe a couple of times, you may observe that whenever opening the tools and go to security console, what is happening? Sometimes a window will pop up saying that user import data job was not run for the past 24 hours, because the job has to run frequently to ensure that all the data sources are in sync together. All this HCM identity store, policy store, tables data should be in sync together. To make it happen, you have to run the import user and role application security data on a frequent basis. That is a must job. So in reality, in production, what happens is this job will be scheduled for every 24 hours. If it is a bigger organization where the changes happens very, very frequently, especially changes to the duty roles and aggregate privileges, or changes to the creating a new job roles, creating a new data rows, if those changes going to happen very frequently, then we have to schedule this every 12 hours like that. Okay, that is important thing. That is the reason we have to schedule the job for every 24 hours. So how to schedule the job, how to access the enterprise scheduler, we're gonna take this use case and we do that concurrent jobs. And another important job is called send LDAP request and retrieve LDAP changes. So what typically happens is, so let's take this a hierarchy. Again, I am having the identity management. Identity management, nothing but we're actually think of we're actually to create the users, create the roles, and assign the users to the roles, right? So let us think of a scenario in the HCM capital management. A user is terminated. When a user is terminated, then someone should know that this user is terminated and that access should gone. So identity management should know that the user got terminated here. So it means, how does it happen? How does it happen is whatever changes happening in the human capital management system, those changes should be notified to the identity management. That one will happen using send pending LDAP request. So this process sends a bulk request about future dated request and the current users statuses, and that statuses will be informed to the identity management. Identity management will know that, okay, someone has got terminated, or someone got created, so automatically assign this role, something like that. So whenever those changes are applied here, example, a new hire is created here. When a new hire is created, and for this new hire, automatically assign some roles. How to automatically assign the roles? That is called abstract roles. I'm going to talk about that. So how to assign those roles automatically? So this identity management will assign that roles automatically. For that, we have to run a job called send pending LDAP request saying that, hey, this user is created. Then this identity management will take that user, assign the roles, and those assigned roles at the user will be sent back to the human capital management saying that, okay, these roles are assigned to the users. So these two jobs has to be run again every night. Typically in production, we have 3 jobs running every night. This is the first job, second job, and third job. The only jobs for the security we have to run every night. So as an implementation, to begin with the implementation of any of the security, schedule these 3 jobs to run every night in the order of 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so that's what we need to do. So I'm going to demonstrate how to schedule the jobs, how to run these jobs, and how can we create a request set to make sure these jobs run one after another. Okay, so that is the reason here. Synchronization process preferences. Synchronization nothing but import user and role application security data. That process copies users, roles, privileges, data security policies from identity store, policy store, and application grant schema to Oracle application security tables. It takes from all these 3 things into this database tables. So we have to run this job every 24 hours. If it's not run within 24 hours, show a warning. That is the reason you are getting a warning message whenever you go into the security console. Okay, so you have to make sure that job has to run every 24 hours. If it won't run, it will go into give a security message. Okay, we will see that how to schedule that and how to run that. We can take that as a use case to schedule. Okay, so we have seen the roles, role copy status, and also we have notifications. Notifications is nothing but when a user say that I forgot the username, then what message we should be sending. Okay, that is what it will say. We can write a message here with some tokens, which will say that dear first name, last name, you had requested your username for Oracle Fusion applications. So these are actually tokens. These tokens are given by the Oracle. So we have to refer the Oracle documentation for that, and we have to use these tokens accordingly to prepare our statement. Okay, so by default, Oracle will give these things, and if you wanted to keep our custom messages, we can create our custom messages, and we can also enable the HTML tags inside this text message so that it can be more formatted way of sending the information for any other reason. Typically in any organization, all this before the cloud, when we run on-premise systems, most of things will be taken care by network teams. But as you move to the cloud, most of these things has to be taken care by us. So all these notifications, if someone comes and asks us want to modify the notification with some other messages, we have to modify the subject and the content accordingly. Okay, similarly we can create our own notifications. We can add a template. So these are the list of predefined templates basically. So if you wanted to create your own template, basically what you can do, you can take this template and you can disable it, and you can create your own template. Okay, when you add a template,
how to know? How to know to whom we have sent this notification?
Okay, so that is a predefined thing. So basically, if you see, all these things will be applied to the user only. So whatever user account we have, right? Forgot user name. So who will request that forgot username? Typically the user, the employee.
And one more thing, can we copy the templates and customize it?
Yes, absolutely. So that's what I'm saying. So if you wanted to create a new template for forgot username or password expiration, typically what you need to do, just go to this turn and disable this one first. Okay, and then you have to add your template, and then take the event. This is a list of events what we have. Because we already disabled the forgot username event, we can have your own event now. By default, we give the predefined information what Oracle is giving, and we can completely.
So within those events only, within those templates only, you can customize it.
Yeah. We cannot create another one.
Can't we create custom events here?
No, we cannot in the SaaS model.
Oh.
So Lakshmi, so there is no case to send the set of people right here.
No.
Only one user.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Either it is a employee, either it is a manager of the employee.
Okay.
But it's not. It's already configured as like that. Okay. So yeah, here we can enable the notification. And again, if you in test instance, if you don't want to enable the notification, just uncheck it. In test instance, none of the notifications will go. If you want to enable it, you can enable it. So it's completely in our control how to control the security policies and how to control the security policies. I mean, user security policies, password security policies, and notifications. All these things will be in our control instance. Whoever is acting as a network administrator, Fusion administrator in your company, whoever has IT security manager role assigned, that is the person responsible to do that. So typically as an implementation partners, we have to train the users showing that whoever is going to administer that, make sure they have these things in their hand, ready-made available. Okay. And another important thing here, bridge for Active Directory. Okay. So I will talk about this for a few minutes. Maybe I was supposed to cover abstract roles today. It was extended. So maybe I will talk about abstract roles tomorrow. Today, let me talk about the real security thing. Example, in any company, how it happens. Any company, how it happens is, example, let us say, take some company, Infosys. So in any company, what happens? Employee will go here. Employee will go to the Infosys. If an Infosys employee is there, what the person will go? Person will go to the apps portal of the Infosys company, right? The internet portal. Okay. In that internet portal, they will have something called Fusion link here. When they click on the Fusion link, what happens typically? When they click on the Fusion link, two things will happen, or three things will happen. Number one, employee should again ask for enter username and password. Second thing, employee will automatically log into the Fusion applications. Okay, so let's discuss these two cases. Case number one, if employee is asked for the username and password, what username and password they have to enter? Two things. Typically in any company, log into any application, authentication should be the company username and password. What are the LAN username and password? The network username and password. Okay. Maybe some companies say that no, for the Fusion application, typically they don't need the company username and password. They should have a different username and password. That's what they had to enter. Third scenario, as I said, logging in automatically. Logging in automatically in sense, as you already logged into your computer using your company network credentials, that username and password is already taken with you. When you click on a link, then what happens? When the application opens up, it actually takes the LAN username and password, not password basically, for LAN credentials, what you already entered behind the scenes inside that when logging into the computer, take that credentials and send it to your single sign-on provider. And single sign-on provider takes that username and verify the username has some person number or some email address or some correct username, and will send it back to the Fusion application. Fusion application will take that and authenticates the person based on the written details from the single sign-on provider. And we can automatically log into the Fusion application. There are several ways we have to enable the access to the Fusion application. And as a SaaS model, as we are implementation partner or administrator of our company, we are the one who are responsible to enable that. For that, we have to understand how we are going to offer login security to our company. So that's the first thing we have to find. Okay, if you're going to use a single sign-on access, to our company, our Fusion application, then we have to work with our single sign-on provider and Oracle, and we have to interchange some metadata files between those two people. So single sign-on provider has to provide a metadata file saying that, hey, this is how we are going to authenticate. This is our certificate. Take it. And what Fusion and Oracle has to say, Oracle support team has to say, okay, and this is the Oracle Fusion authentication details. This is how we are going to authenticate by email address, by username or something. And this is our certificate. Take it. So they both will exchange their certificates between themselves. Then this single sign-on will work automatically. Okay, that's number one. And number two, if they wanted to have a different username and password than what our company has, then the case is different. Then we have to generate passwords out of the Fusion applications. In those cases, these administration policies, okay, these administration policies, and password policies will be effective. If you are not using single sign-on, if you are going with separate login credentials for the Fusion applications, then these password policies will be effective. That's how it works. And second thing, when we talk about the username, how the username should be for Fusion applications. Okay, so again, how your company defines the username. When you log into your company computer, what is the username? Okay, that username, basically, what is that username? Typically, there is two ways. One, whenever an employee is created, your network team or your Active Directory team or your whatever help desk team, they will create a username for the employee. That is number one way of doing it. Number two is everyone relies on the HR system. They are waiting for HR system to generate the username and give it to them. They will wait. They will depending upon the HR system. In that case, these preferences plays a major role, because as they are relying on the Fusion application or HR system to generate the username, we should know what is our company policy to generate the username. First name, last name, email. If, for example, same people has the same first name and last name, then how to generate the username when the generation rule fails? If generation rule fails, then generate using the email or generate using the first letter of first name and last name. So system will generate the username automatically. Okay, in Fusion, how it works is, if the first name and last name is already available in the system, it will generate person number as a username. And later you can go ahead and change it accordingly. We can do that, but that's how it works. Okay, let us say this Fusion is generating username. Then how do you send that username? Has to go to everywhere across the company, because in our company only HR system is not the only system, right? That employee has to log into multiple applications. Company has their own custom application. Company will have a different application for iExpenses. Company will have application for Salesforce. Our company, they have their own applications. They have a Skype. How do they log in? How do employee log in there? Based on the username what we are generating here. How do we send the username to the everywhere? Typically, we have to send the username to our Active Directory team, our network team, who actually provision with that username. They will provision user accounts every application or enable single sign everywhere. So how do you send that username to your Active Directory team? That is what it comes into the picture. Bridge for Active Directory. If you want to send the newly created employee data automatically, or if there are any changes in the user level changes of the person, if username is changed, or if user email is changed, or how do the Fusion will talk to the Active Directory? That's how Oracle from release 12 onwards, they have given a bridge for Active Directory, which we can configure. If we can do the Active Directory configuration from here, where we can synchronize the data between the Fusion and the Active Directory systems. If you synchronize the data, whenever a new user account, new employee is created in the Fusion application, a new user account is created in the Fusion application, that new user account should immediately flow to the Active Directory team, where actually they will create the Active Directory account in that Active Directory, and they will create the distribution list, and they will create phone numbers for that. They do many things there. So if you want to automate that part, then you have to use Active Directory configuration, and the Active Directory team should share their host, port number, and what user base domain name they have to access to. So these details has to be provided by the Active Directory team. So all these elements are AD specific elements basically. So we have to work with our network team to get this Active Directory configuration details and network proxy configuration details basically. So we have to take those details and we have to schedule that synchronization. How do you want to schedule every 1 hour or every 5 minutes, or how do you want to do that? While transferring the data from your Fusion application to Active Directory, how do you want to do the user attribute mapping? User attribute mapping means nothing but first name in the Fusion application should go to the first name in the LDAP, that Active Directory. Okay, so how do we do that mapping? How do you group map in nothing but distribution lists? How do you automatically add this user to the distribution list? That is group mapping. So user attribute mappings and group mappings, typically we can automate the process of interacting with Active Directory using Bridge for Active Directory. That is number one. Some companies say that, no, we don't want to expose our Active Directory to the outside world. It is highly security issue, because Active Directory is very key to any organization, because that's where the distribution lists will be. That's where the sources will be. That's the place, with the source for access to every application within the company. They will say that, we won't give access to Active Directory. We won't share any of our host or port number. We won't believe the outside systems. In that case, we cannot use Active Directory. In that case, we have to rely on the file-based system. So we have to generate the data, whatever required data or the file, and we have to feed the file to the Active Directory system. So we can give a file with the username, and first name, last name, and their job or department, because to create distribution lists, and their manager name. Okay, those details we will create a file, and we send the file over to our Active Directory team, and they will take the file, and it depends upon them how they want to load the data into their application. If they want to automatically load it using the file, or they will manually do that, it's their choice. Okay, so Bridge for Active Directory is that place. So any implementation decision should be taken at the beginning stage, how they are going to do that. Okay, once the decision, based on the decision, it takes some time to work with Oracle and your Active Directory team to test out these configurations and to do the mappings and group mappings. It should be thoroughly tested, because we should not impact Active Directory group mappings just like that. Okay, so this is one of the key thing, how you want to enable the access the Fusion applications in your company basically.
Lakshmi, this Active Directory is a Windows concept, right?
Yes.
Okay. This is an integration between Oracle and Microsoft here.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, as we have a SaaS model again, so as we are responsible for everything out of the system, right? So even this one also, we will act as an interface between Microsoft team and Oracle team to make this work. And subsequently, it comes into our bucket for the maintenance of it. If anything goes wrong here, then typically they will ask us to, we are the primary support basically. So we have to make sure that whatever configurations Microsoft team was saying are available here, and then we have to engage the teams respectively. Okay, so it was not there before release 12, but as people are asking a lot about auto integrations between the Fusion and Active Directory, they came up with this. So same thing can be achieved through web services too. So I said this is one thing. Second thing, as I said, a file, and third thing, web services. What Oracle do? Oracle actually exposes some web services. So we have SOAP web services for Common Application Cloud. They expose some web services for several business objects. It's actually this is one example, like uploading the file into the Fusion applications, and I want to show the, yeah, it won't be here. That's a different documentation. So I'll get that one. So we will look at that one as well. We are going to, I'm going to demonstrate some web services, basically how we can take the data from Fusion applications and Fusion interact with the Fusion applications dynamically. We're going to show that. So basically what happens is we have web service, we have an object. Typically that object exposes the username and security console details. Typical security console details, what are we have here? Whatever security console, whatever username details we have here, we have an object which actually expose these details, like username, first name, last name, manager, job, business department. So these details will be exposed as an object to the external world. Okay, that's a web service basically. So what we can do from outside, we can call the web service with the proper authentication. That web service will give the username, first name, last name, manager, business unit, whatever, based on the employee number that we are passing as a parameter. Or we can query for the details which was created in the past 1 hour or past 24 hours, and we can get those details, and then Active Directory can consume those details there and create the user accounts accordingly. Okay, so that's the other way. There are many ways to interact with the system. So I'm going to show how to interact to file-based. I'm going to show how to do it using web services. Let's two ways when we talk about the integrations perspective. Okay. Okay, with that, I will conclude today's session, and tomorrow we have one final thing called abstract roles. Maybe first off, I will take abstract roles, and second off, we will start with some configurations like scheduling the jobs. How do the concurrent manager works in the Fusion application? How we can schedule the jobs, and how we can schedule a request, how we can create a request set, and how we can run that. So some configuration details we will see tomorrow, and day after tomorrow onwards, we will start with the inbound integrations. And tomorrow, maybe after the session, or tomorrow maybe last, we'll try to cover that finance data security policies sometime, tomorrow or later. Okay.
Ravi, are we going to be cover loading the security job and roles through the data file?
Yes, I think we have a use case for that. In the finance finance, we have one use case where actually while mapping the finance users with business units or cost organizations, there is a case where we can load the data using the ADF-DI, that is called a desktop integrated Excel sheet. That's what I'm going to show. And number two, anyway, you kept that is number thing. Number two is when new hire is created, right? So when new hire is created, if user account is created by the help desk or Active Directory team, right? So how to load the username into Fusion. So it is one use case where actually we can talk about how to load the data automatically through using the file-based loader or HCM data loader. And for your question, how to load the job roles automatically into the Fusion applications? So typically, it's an ongoing process. If an employee is created, job roles should get assigned automatically. Do we do that? Do we maintain an automatic process, time to time based, to keep loading the data? Not like that. Basically, we have some concept called provisioning the roles, which actually helps us to automatically assign the roles to the user. That is one thing I'm going to talk about tomorrow. And the first time when we migrate the application to the Fusion applications, first time we have to create the roles automatically, right? First time loading the roles into the Fusion. So I'm going to show this one as well. It's also a separate concept called using the automatic loading using files. So basically, when I start about inbound integrations, this is a very good business cases to start with. How to interact with the system automatically on daily basis, or how to load the data into the Fusion application in bulk. If you have thousands of records, how we can load that using the file-based loader or HCM data loader. These two are very good business cases, which we will start with when we talk about the inbound integrations. Okay. And again, for your question, the loading the data, assigning the roles when employee is created, that is something I'm going to talk about tomorrow. So it's called the auto provisioning of the roles. Does it answer your question?
Yeah, Lakshmi.
Thanks. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Lakshmi Narayan here.
Yes, Narayana?
Today we created the, like, if you want to edit the one role, we should not change the seeded role. So if you want, suppose from one team you are getting one type of requirement, another team another requirement. So always we need to create copy the role, and we need to edit everything. We need to do the same process, or is there any other process too?
So if the requirement is such a way that we wanted to create a role, which typically, requirement such a way that we have a requirement where it is going to impact it most of the population, and it is a requirement is needed going further on timely basis. So if that is the case, basically we have to modify the existing security role. Or if requirement is such a way that it is needed only for one time, or it happens very rarely, in those cases we have some other way of doing the page level customization, something like that, which I'm going to talk about when I talk about customization and personalization.
Okay. Lakshmi, I have a little confused between the job role and role. So can you explain once again?
Okay. Yeah, I will explain. So you can hold up after everyone drop off. So we'll talk about that. So if anyone has any question, just shoot me.
Hi, Lakshmi.
Yeah, Srinivas, Bharsha, Srinivas.
Yeah. Actually, one note here. So if is there any case we will get the deep copy in real scenario? If that's the case, okay, it will be time taking, right? Every job we have to take and copy and edit, right? So is there any way to automatic?
Okay, so typically deep copy is very rare. So very rare, and as I was talking before, it might impact do any upgrade. If any changes happens, it's a very big change to do. Okay, and if you wanted to do, we can do. And then if we do the deep copy of existing role, then typically what happens is you go to the role hierarchy, and you can modify you can go to individual role and just modify it. So if you have 4 levels of hierarchy, you can just go to whatever level you want in the same. If you say edit role, we have the flow. We have that graphical diagram, right? It's the same graphical diagram. whatever level you wanted to edit, you can just go there and edit it. So you have a full flexibility there. So it's not like you have to go to individual role and edit it. You can go and do that.
Okay.
Okay, when you do the deep copy, it's actually create the copies of every role under that. Every role. So if you have every role under that, and you have provision to go to individual role and do that, or you have provision to go to the graphical diagram and do that. Either ways will happen.
Yeah, got it, Lakshmi. Thank you.
Thanks, Lakshmi.
Thank you, Lakshmi.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you can drop off and let me stop the recording.